I think that's where some people miss. That's why we get the 99 cents, the $1.99, $2.99, because they get stuck with that top one based on similar listings. If everybody keeps pricing at $2.99, $1.99, 99 cents, it'll never move. Welcome back to SM Postcards. Today, little agenda down the bottom. Beginning of every video, you can look down here, you can see what's in the video. Got 16 cards sold. That's my goal. I did 16 on this poll of cards. I got 16 cards. So we'll go through those real quick in the beginning, just to show you what's sold, talk a little bit about the cards, price I got, and then we'll get into deep dive for Cowboy Postcards. These are okay. They're Western. We'll see. I'll go through a little history of Cowboys, and then the sell-through rate and the pricing, and just see what these are. Are they average, high? Do they sell? What do they do for you? We'll jump into the deep dive right after what's sold. Then I got a poll. A lot of questions. A lot of people ask me how to price postcards. It's an art. It's not hard to do, but it can be a lot of time consuming. So I'll tell you what I do, and I got some comments from people on what they do. So you take a mixture and you kind of figure out what you want to do yourself to get the best price. Too high, too low, do I get my money back I paid for it? There's a lot of variables. So we're going to talk a little bit about pricing postcards, and I'll show you what I do with the average cards and stuff like that. And then I got a viewer comment. I talked about in this video about what would you do, and it's a new segment I'll find once in a while. But Trevor, a viewer of the channel, sent me an email, and he allowed me to talk. He approved me to talk about that he bought a big lot of postcards, and some of it I thought was true, and some of it he's got a plan to figure it out to do it. So everybody does things differently. Me, I would have passed. Trevor bought it, and he's going to try to make some good out of it and stuff. Everybody's a little different. That video, I didn't want to say whoever bought it was wrong or whoever selling it did it wrong. It's just that when I looked at it, it wouldn't be a pass me, and I wanted to know what people would do. Well, Trevor bought it, and I'll break down that email, and he'll tell us a little bit about how it was delivered and stuff like that at the end of the video for viewer comments. I thought it was pretty cool of Trevor coming out and being humble about that and letting us know what he found with that. So we get it a beginning to the end, and I think he's going to do well with it. He's got the drive. But let's go and get started on what's sold. Won't take too long to go through these. 16 cards, like I said. First one was a print, semi-gloss front, matte back. This is the U.S. Upshur AP 198, older boat, I think, right there, $4.75. Next one is Main Street, looking toward the square, Peabody, Massachusetts. This one didn't pan out as much as I thought it would. That'd be $4.75. Got some really neat pictures in there, but the comps were just not there for that. So $4.75. Another one, this is an Italian line SS Cristoforo Colombo. It's 29,429 tons, 700 feet long, and a breadth of 90.2 feet. It's a boat. Probably I think this is maybe the first. I got about 10 or 12 of these in that ship thing. I think this is the first one I sold. I never remembered this. That's an Italian line cruise boat. $4.75. Santa Rita Hotel, Tucson, Arizona. Linen card. It says right on there, 1948. Sometimes people write on there. It's just another guide to try to price it. So linen card, $4.75. Navy ship, Galveston, USS Galveston, CLG-3. Just a publisher card, $4.75. And we got Old Abe, Abraham Lincoln. All that I am, or all that I hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. Real light cardstock postcard. Doesn't have the postcard back on it, but it was still in the postcard lot. I put it up. I couldn't tell you when or why, but $4.75 for Abe. Don't sell a lot of it. I got a video coming about it, just Abraham Lincoln, because there's so many out there, and I got so many. I live in the land of Lincoln, Illinois. Springfield, where Salem isn't far from me. And So I wanted to do one on Abraham Lincoln. So next year I got a Abraham Lincoln video coming. Hotel El Tovar, Grand Canyon of Arizona. See how they spelled canyon right there? C-A-N-N-O-N. Then there's C-A-Y-O-N. The older cards say canyon, I think, a lot. That's the Tovar Hotel. It's a divided back card. And that sold for $4.75. And here's a wave rolling in, Maine coast, Kennebunkport, Maine. Just a painting of the water. Yeah, just a painting of the water, unposted postcard, chrome, $4.75. This one sold for $7.75. I remember listing this one. This is Demco Electronics, satellite, traveler, nice looking advertisement of electronics. That's why I priced it up to $7.75. Got full price, unposted. It's got a little fill in blanks here. It says 2 station confirming QSL. It's like a QSL card, I guess, where they document your thing. $7.75 advertising. This is the Jefferson Shrine. This is a real photo, EKC. So it's back in the early days, real photo. Jefferson Memorial and stuff like that. I didn't price it up. I didn't even comp it. It's a presidential thing. I just get it out there, move it, and $4.75. Next one sold for $11.47. $11.47. This is Center and Clearfield Traction Powerhouse, Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. Nice looking card. I must have did some comps on it. On there, $11.47 for that card right there. I got a video coming about factories. This kind of looks like a factory next year, and it's got factories. Talk about that, and then some things fall into that as warehouses and stuff. And I'm putting that video together now. And it's interesting what's out there. Then you got the Tale of the Seahorse. I've sold this before. It's a poem card. I try to put poem in the title sometimes, and the Seahorse, just a chrome card, $4.75. Hillside Hospital, chrome card, hospitals. Usually I price them up. This one I didn't. $4.75. This is the Lee Memorial Chapel, Washington Lee University, Lexington, Virginia. Chrome card of the Lee Memorial Chapel Church, $4.75. Then we got a train, Portland Rose. Nice looking train card. Trains do pretty good. They don't top dollar, but they do move pretty much. Not as much as the ships. I don't have a lot of them. But if I ever got a big train collection, I would pick it up if I can get them for a good price and just put up a bunch of trains. A lot of train collectors out there. $4.75. Last one is an airplane. The Army's largest flying fortress, sold for $5.17. This is Flying Fortress. Linen card. These don't do as well as someone would think. On some of them, you got to check each one. But when you get these linen with these planes and stuff, some of them do well, a little bit better. Some, like this one's $5.17. Probably could have pushed a little bit more, but it just didn't do. It's a posted one on there. So that was 16 cards I sold on this pull of cards. $90.53 worth. A lot of average cards in there, if you notice, and I probably paid a penny or two, a nickel, for a lot of these cards in there. If I took $90.53 and divided by 16 cards sold, I get a gross average sale price of $5.66. That's about average right there. I'm never going to have $20 average sale price or $15. It's going to be between $5 and $8 probably, because of the number of average cards that I do, because that's my niche, divided back down to chrome. I don't go after all the big ones, and I move cards. That's what I want to do. So not a bad day. Almost broke 100. I did break $80 of what I wanted to do on this pull, and we'll keep going forward. Sales are still up and down. Hopefully, I project 2025 to be a better year. So I'm upping a few things in 2025. I'm changing a couple goals, and we'll talk about it at the end of the year. Now let's talk about cowboys. Now, a lot of people that are not in the United States, when I was working in Europe, they talked about cowboys. And then you got Brazil with those horse riders, and then Australia and things like that. But people are infatuated about cowboys in the Western United States and how it grew up and stuff like that. And they asked me a question. I'm not from the West. I've watched westerns, but the real life cowboys is a little different. Bunkhouses and stuff, but Ponderosa, Gunsmoke. That's the West to me. I'm in the Midwest, just below Chicago. And so it's a little different, but people are infatuated with cowboys from the United States. So I thought I would do a video about cowboy postcards, or postcards with cowboys on them, or a cowboy theme. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of cowboys in the United States. And while I do that, I'm going to show you some cowboy cards I found out there. Here we go. Cowboys, as we know them today, first appeared in the American West during the 1800s. These early cowboys were extensive workers on cattle ranches, responsible for herding and managing large groups of cattle. They used horses and special skills to move cattle along the open plains and drove them to markets where they could be sold, cattle drives. Cowboys became the symbol of the rugged and adventurous spirit of the American frontier. In the late 19th century, the cowboy lifestyle started to gain fame through books, movies, and rodeos. Stories of brave cowboys who lived off the land and battled outlaws captured the imagination of many. This period also saw the rise of cowboy as a popular figure in entertainment, with rodeos becoming a major sports showcasing like bull riding, lassoing, and stuff like that. I like going to rodeos. It's pretty cool watching them. Today, the image of the cowboy remains an important part of the American culture. Modern cowboys continue to work on ranches, though their role has evolved with technology. They are still known for their unique skills and traditions, and the cowboy's legacy lives on in rodeos, country music, western films, celebrating the adventures and independent spirit of the Old West. Cowboy postcards offer a nostalgic glimpse into the rugged life of the American West, featuring vibrant images of cowboys on horseback, classic ranch scenes, and iconic western landscapes. These postcards capture the essence of cowboy culture. They often showcase traditional elements like cowboy hats, boots, and lassos, along with the settings of open plains and rustic ranches. Sending or collecting a cowboy postcards provides a charming way to remember and share the adventurous spirits and timeless appeal of cowboy life. I got 3 facts here about cowboys. Cowboy psycho myth. Cowboy psycho myth. I can't remember this one. Let me read it. In the 1800s, some cowboys believed in superstitious practice called the psychotherapy that involved speaking to their horses to cure ailments. They thought, now this is 1800s, they thought that chatting with their horses could help the rider and the animal feel better, leading to some very particular conversations in the saddle. I guess when you're riding in the plains and by yourself out there, you got to talk to someone, talk to a horse. And that was the 1800s, so. Then the next fact, boots with hidden pockets. Some old cowboy boots had secret pockets built into the heels or sides, intended to hide small items like money or maps. These hidden compartments were a quirky feature of the boots, offering a secret stash for cowboys who needed to keep valuables safe while on the trail. So if you're selling vintage clothes and vintage cowboy boots, check for the secret pockets. I don't sell boots and I don't have cowboy boots. So if you got those, if anybody finds a cowboy boot with a hidden pocket, send me a picture of it. It'd be great. And the last fact, cowboy dramatic shaving. During the Wild West era, some cowboys had an unusual grooming habit. They would use a mix of horse manure and water as a shaving cream. I just drove down to my brother's lake house in Indiana yesterday. Before I did this video, I went there yesterday, spent the day with them. They were putting manure in the fields. It looked like a dinosaur pooped across this field. I mean, the mounds of it in there. And I smelled it for the next 5 miles. And we have that around here where I live in a farm community and stuff, but that was bizarre. It was a huge mound of cow manure put on this. It was a lot, let me put it that way. More than I've ever seen. I would love to watch them. They have manure spreaders out there that flip this stuff around the fields, and I've seen those before. This bizarre practice, shaving with the horse manure and water, this bizarre practice was believed to help soften the beard and protect the skin, adding an odd twist to their daily routines. Man, that must have stunk. So, I don't know, not me. But that's the little history about cowboys. Do cowboys sell? Let's take a look. I have this little chart here. I'm going to go pretty quick in 2025 with this chart. Just everybody, I think, has been watching the videos understand it. But if you're not, you can go back and look at the other videos that I did and I explain it more. But basically, it's red, green, and darker green. If you do a sell-through rate on a card on what's sold in the last 90 days on eBay, if it's 0 to 3 low, those probably don't sell as quickly as the 4 to 10% where I work. And then while I'm looking for the 4 to 10%, I usually find 11% more sell-through rate. That means how many cards, you take your sold divided by listed times 100, it gives you a percent, and that's the sell-through rate for postcards. And this is the range I come up with, and the ones I really look for is the 4 to 10, average and high. So where do Cowboys go? So you take Postcard Cowboy, you take 1,200 that were sold on eBay. I just put Postcard Cowboy into eBay, click sold, and there was 1,200 is the number they gave me. I divided it by 50,000 that are listed. 50,000 postcards with cowboy in the title or cowboy themed on eBay. 50,000. That's a lot. You times it by 100 and you get a percent and you round it up or down. This is probably one of the lower sell-through rates that I've done lately. 2%. Cowboy postcards are only 2%. If you look at the chart, it's right in the middle of the low. So do you pick them up? I tend not to. I get them in lots and stuff like that, unless they're very unique, older, stuff like that, but they don't do as well. And this confirms my thinking about it. But you got to go out there and you got to bump it up against a few other things just to see if this 2% is there. So I found Postcard Wrangler. There's only 18 sold with 209 listed, 9%. So Wrangler is another term, you know, cow wrangler, horse wranglers, stuff like that. Then you got Postcard Rodeo I did, 9%. So those two are 9%, so I'd take that 2, maybe bump it up to 4, put it in between low and average. And then Cowboys 2%, but then you get Rancher. But there's only 14, so the number of sold and the number of listed, none of these really match the Cowboy, so you got to kind of use your gut. I would say this is an average card. It's not really low. I think it's an average. People like the West. I'm going to go with my gut and say it's between 4 and 7% average after looking at these other things. So it's an average card. I'll pick them up, but I'm not going to pay a lot for them because I know they sit. They have a tendency to go low. The ones out there with Cowboy in the title only got 2%, but the other ones are shown, so you have a chance. That's how you use sell-through rate. There's really no hard and true way. You just kind of use your gut and your experience. So I'm going to say they're average. Sell-through rate is done. Now we're going to get into pricing. Pricing can affect sell-through rate and everything, how things sell, but the prices on eBay go from 99-cent auctions to $1,500 cards or $500 cards or $100. It's all over the board. The first thing we're going to talk about this. The first thing you need to do is figure out what you paid for it on the average and what you need. Set a base price and don't go under that. Even if a card isn't worth that, even the comps say that, say I want to list a card for $5 as my base price, but the card is only shown for $3. I'm still going to list it for $5.50. Doesn't mean you don't list it. Just put it up there, because if everybody keeps doing what everybody else is doing, and you're going to see that in the comments from that poll right after this, everybody sticks at one price. Sometimes you got to go outside. If you feel it's a good card and you've experienced it, move it up and stuff like that. That's the pricing. But I got 8 cards here from high to low that we'll walk through and give you pretty good examples on what's out there and what to look for, and kind of give you an idea on some of the pricing and just how wild it is sometimes, like the Wild Wild West. So the first one here is not really a postcard, I do not believe, but it looked like a postcard. It was in a postcard category. It says it's a stereo view Wittig, and if you got 2 images there with those stereo views, that's what that does. It's those wooden binocular things like Viewmaster back in the day. They put on a stick and you can see it. It's an 1800 cowboy and horses in front of the Amateur House, Albuquerque, New Mexico. They got $325 for that. Now I know there's a lot of people out right now getting into the stereo views. I don't do them. They're real stiff and stuff, and I have to stop somewhere. But I do see them in auctions, and I do have personalized, we'll wholesale them too, because I get them. They come in batches from the States. Is where you find a lot of those. I just don't know a lot about them. I would love to get into them, but I gotta stop somewhere. I got other things I'm doing, but this is a stereo view. So if you want to look and see what those are, look out there. But it's a different niche. I don't know a lot about it, so I don't know if this is normal or if what they price for. I just never got down into them. The next one is Walt Disney. Postcard Walt Disney subscription, Donald Duck, Huey, Dewey, Louie, Cowboys. So they have cowboy hats. The Ducks, the Walt Disney Ducks have cowboy hats on. They got best offer. $80, probably took 60 or 70 on it. $4.50 shipping for a Disneyland cowboy postcard. That's not bad. Then here's a real photo I put in here. Just because you got a real photo doesn't mean it's worth hundreds of dollars. Here's a cowboy with his little fancy chaps or whatever on. Looks kind of weird. I wonder if he shaves with the special shaving sauce they did. Studio photo. So this is a studio prop. It's a studio photo, but sometimes you miss it. You put studio prop is what I see them in the title. Real photo, man dressed as cowboy, woolly chaps, real photo postcard. So they put RPC and real photo postcard just to fill it up, keyword stuff. But I think I would have used studio prop. Try to figure out what the studio, sometimes they say it on the back. That sold for maybe $25, best offer. Not bad. They don't do as well as the paper moon or the cars and stuff, but studio props you can price up, and sometimes you do get them. I look for studio props a lot in cabinet cards or whatever when I see those. Next one, you got Jerry Colton Riding Bull. New York City, World's Fair, Fort Worth, Cowboy, Arlington, trailer, 1964. Very keyword stuff in there. There's some trailers, but they got $30 for this trailer and a truck and riding a bull. That's what I mean about that 2%. Some of these cards can do a little bit different than what you think. It's all about the subject of the card also. So you just got to comp them and take your best guess. But someone put down $30 on this thing, and it looks like a Chrome card. Interesting. Maybe it's that one buy or two. Maybe these cards don't move, and this one person wanted this. It was their uncle or their husband or their brother. That's sometimes you got to watch to see how many sold and how many are listed and what's completed out there. Is another. This one, circa 1950s, Wendover Will Giant Cowboy Nevada Utah border real photo RPPC photo postcard. That title just doesn't tell a story to me. It's keyword stuff on there. But they got $15 for it. I probably would have pushed that one a little bit more. It's advertising and stuff like that. But they did pretty good with that. $15. I'd take it. Might be. You never know. There could be some more in there. Maybe they found something that was only worth that much and they did a good job on the pricing. And then you got the Cowboys. Cowboys Call Gambling Gun, Red Lodge, Montana, Posted Antique Postcard. Another title that just doesn't tell a story of what's going on. It does say Cowboys are gambling, and they got $12.50, $12.48 for that. So Cowboys, there's some up there. But then we get down to a $9 one. This is a large letter, has a cowboy on it, $9.74. That's a pretty good one. Usually most of these like large letter linen ones are between $5 and $8. And this one was $9.74. So they did their homework and they got it. Looks like I've never seen that one that I can remember. Salinas, that's a pretty neat one. Good job. Then Cowboy Artist postcard by famous LH Dude Larson, $5.50. So you go from stereo views of $300, then you go Disney for $80 down to $5. You see what I'm talking about, the price ranges? Depends how much time you want to put into them and look them, but a lot of the cards out there are average. Some of these could go up, some could go down. It's an art to learn about pricing. You also have to price them to sell if you're a seller, or if you want to wait on them. Is there cards you're going to wait on? Some cards I have out there, like the Halloween cards, I got my high price on there, and I'm going to wait it out because I got these other cards selling, and I can wait those out and get a good return on them when they sell. But that's the pricing of Cowboys. What do you think about Cowboy Postcards, Western? People out west, what do you think about when you see those? Do you think they sell okay for you or whatever? Leave it in the comments. That's Cowboys. Who knew? The SMPostcards Ko-Fi shop has a collection of postcard supplies to meet your reselling needs. From protective sleeves to envelopes and tantalizing postcard lots, we have everything you need to enhance your reselling experience. But that's not all. If you sign up as a member in either the white border or divided back tier, you're entitled to an incredible 40% discount on all items purchased in the shop. Whether you're a seasoned seller or just starting your postcard reselling journey, this discount is here to make your reselling experience even better. Stock up on top quality supplies. Visit the SM Postcards online Ko-Fi shop today and transform your postcard reselling to the next level. To see more, follow the link in the video description below. Now we're going to get into the poll. I put one out every Saturday. Starts about 9 or 10 Central Time. It's just a quick eBay poll or YouTube poll. Goes out. If you just select and participate and just pick an option and don't put a comment, I have no idea. Nobody knows what you picked. But if you put a comment, we can see the comment. I don't know what you picked, but it in the back end, it doesn't show me all that. It just shows me what you see. But if a comment's coming in, it has your name on it and stuff like that. But I like when people comment on it, so it gives us a different vantage point to look at it. But this poll was, how do you price your postcards on eBay? And I put a few things here. Based on similar listings, you know, sell similar, what's out there, 79% go out and try to find a card like it was and what's sold, and they based their pricing off of that. Based on rarity and condition, that's a tough one sometimes because these older cards, a lot of them are pretty good shape for the older on there, but rarity, that's a word that I don't use often. It's hard to find more of it. It doesn't do much. Scarce is probably a better card, not as many sold. 2% do that, I understand that. And then set fixed price regardless, 10%. I think that's where some people miss. That's why we get the 99 cents, the $1.99, $2.99, because they get stuck with that top one based on similar listings. If everybody keeps pricing at $2.99, $1.99, 99 cents, it'll never move for that card. People will just keep doing it, because if I put a card for $4.75 up there and someone has the same card for 99 cents and they are shopping, they'll do that. But a lot of people in the postcard world trust and are loyal to their sellers, so it takes a while to get a reputation. If you have a good reputation of backing your stuff up, having different stuff up all the time, there's no reason for them to go running around. A lot of the people that sell the lower end cards don't do it, you know, full time or really put a lot of effort into it. They throw them in the plain white envelopes and stuff like that. Those collectors do not want that. They want somebody they can know it's going to get there on time and stuff. It's a good reputation. People still buy from the 99 cent people and stuff. There is a niche out there, and people say they make money on it. It's just a lot of work for a little pay. Yeah, it's me. But there's money in all this. There's room for everything in postcards. But there's thousands of sellers, 10 to 11 million postcards on eBay. You're not going to compete in a market across the whole thing. There's not one thing you can do that's going to change from 5 cards selling a day to 50 overnight. It's not one little thing in a title and one pictures or whatever. It takes time to build a reputation on reselling. Then there other was 10%. So basically everybody bases 80% base it on similar things that sold. And that's the world of comping, comparative analysis. But I got some 5 viewer comments from people on what they do, and I think it's important people to hear this. Now, Amy said, I made a lot of changes in a year I've been selling postcards. So they've been changing up some stuff, which is good. Hope it's not major changes all the time, just small things and see how it works, small things, how it works, take it back. That's how you build a business. I started out looking up every card because I was new to them, and I needed to learn so much. Yes, your first 1,000 postcards and stuff, it's going to take you a lot longer time. But once you get over the hill, like Amy here is, it gets easier because you start seeing the same type of cards and you kind of know what they're worth on there. You know which ones to pull out and do a little more research. Now the vast majority of cards I have a set price for. I have $4.75 this year in 2024. Am I going to go up in 2025? I haven't really looked at that much. My buy price hasn't went up in the last year, and the cards I'm carrying over next year, I bought them for a good price, so I don't need it. The postage went up a couple cents this year and stuff. I didn't raise on that. Is it time to raise next year? I think I'll make that decision in the first quarter of next year if I need to raise a nickel or dime. I'm not really worried about getting another nickel for my card and stuff. I don't want to go. It's easy to change. It won't take me long to change that, but I'd like people to buy average cards for $4.75 free shipping, and be basically under $5 for the whole thing with sales tax. So for $5, you can get a postcard from me. Is what I like to be. I start breaking it up. I'd say I go to $4.95. Now I'm into $5.50. Do I want to break that threshold when I have an okay thing going on here and I'm not losing money, I'm making money, and price myself a little differently? Is it going to hurt? No. But I'm kind of set what I'm doing. So it's a decision I got to make first quarter next year on there. So now a vast majority of cards I have a set price for. It has sped up my listing process. Yes, you can go a lot faster and labor and time. So average cards and stuff you can't spend a lot of time on because you start losing money on time. And encourage more daily sales, so you get more up there and you know you're going to get your margin if you sell that card at that price. I still look up all real photos and foreign cards because I enjoy the research. Yeah, some people like Amy, they like to dig in there, but those are saved for times I'm not actively listing. For me, this is enjoyment, not work. I have a special folder, and I tell people all the time, I'll go through a stack of cards. I don't sort ahead of time, and I'll just list off the stack when I say I see this card and it looks pretty different and I think it's worth more. I'll move it over and put it in my special folder, and I'll do all those deep research and stuff on there and try to get the extra $1 or $2, $3 out of it or more on those cards in the special folder. But while I'm listing the average cards, I get those done, and then one day I'll sit down and I'll say I got 10 in the special folder. I'll knock out 5 of them. Takes a little bit more time on those cards. A lot of them don't pan out to me much. Some do. So that's how I do it. I don't break up my rhythm by stopping for a half hour trying to comp one card, and all of a sudden you're into it for 2 hours and you've only listed 10 cards. Set those to the side and go in research mode like Amy does is what I always recommend. But thanks, Amy, for sharing. Then postcard reflections. I have a base starting price, but research through Parapeak to see if I should list higher. Yep, that's just throw it in there real quick, and if it shows $5.25 and I got $4.75, I might bump it to $5.75. But if I put it in there and I see a lot of them going for $10, $12, maybe I'll go to $12.75. Usually $12.75 is where I cut it off for special folder. If it's higher than $12.75, I need to take a closer look at it, a little second, third look at it and see. But I have a set margin on what I buy postcards for and what I sell them for. If I sell them for that price, everything's covered and I make my margin. And overall, the average is where I went out. And Postcard Reflections does the same. Thanks, Postcard Reflections. Then Stephen Holton. Now, Stephen's been doing this for a long, long time. So, like him and Kevin, some of these people, Biff, they put nuggets out here, and they've been doing this for a long time. So they've seen a whole scope of stamps and postcards and stuff, ephemera. So you want to take a listen when these guys speak up. Based on previous sales and scarcity of the postcard is what he does. I do not go by other sellers' unsold prices, as they tend to be vary drastically. They vary drastically. Mostly use gut instinct, but do research most cards, as I have my books. I've sold since 1990s, and I have been very successful at it in the past. Do not fall in for the trap of setting your prices too low because everyone else is. Exactly. Put it what you need and go from there. I don't go down. I go up. So don't, like he said, that's a nugget from Stephen. Do not fall in that trap in there. And don't price them so high that they don't go. You know, you got to find that, it's an art. You find that happy place. But if you're also selling a service, as I always say, you're selling a service. You ship in 1 day, 1 or 2 days. You have, 30, 60 day returns. You back up everything you do. You ship it correctly in the correct envelopes. You're not putting a lot of junk in there. And they just pay the postcard and you send it and you provide them feedback. I do automatic feedback when they buy it. They get feedback. I don't mess with that and stuff. So I try to give them a fair deal, reasonable price for the postcards I sell, and it's worked. Thanks, Stephen. Then Philip, based on my vast 50 years of experience in the postcard industry and whatever Mark and Daniel Mailzeum say. So Daniel, I haven't talked about Daniel in a while, but Mailzeum, Daniel has a channel out there. It's Mailzeum, and he does the higher end cards, a lot of research and different things out there on there. So check out his channel and look at the bottom of my channel page on YouTube, and you'll see other postcards in there. There's Popeye, there's Kevin Postcard Guy, just a lot of different people. I can't remember, I'm sorry, on the top of my head, but just look down there, and if you're not on there, let me know, and I'll put it down there. I don't know how many I can put there, but I try to put all the other postcards, room for everybody for postcard channels on there, because we all learn differently, do things differently, and stuff like that. But Daniel's got a channel out there. It's Mailseum. Check that out. And he puts weekly videos out, and he throws other ones out there and there. But he gets some pretty good deals, and he does pretty good with the higher end cards. Thanks, Philip. And then trying to learn this would take too much time to figure out the price of each and every card. Yeah, you can't comp every card. You can't go to a postcard show and look up every card before you buy it on your phone. You're going to tie up the booth. It's going to take forever. You'll never get through a whole box probably in the whole show. You just got to learn what to pick up and not to pick up. Sell-through rate helps me. Over time, you're going to learn. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to take a gamble. It didn't pan out. And then you're going to find some really good ones. They all sell, pretty much. Just get them for a price that you can. If you're going to gamble heavily on one, make sure the chips are stacked in your corner. Don't buy a $20 card thinking you're going to get $25 out of it. There's no money left. And you could have bought a whole bunch of cards for $20. So be careful on there. So you can't comp every little card and put a quantity up. Now, if you're a real photo postcards and into that higher end, different niche than I do. Those guys do every card because there's money in those. I'm not a researcher sorter type person. I move the average cards. $5 to $8 cards is what I fell into. Divided back to Chrome. Some of them I do the research. I have a stack over here right now I haven't got to. But potential buyers going to offer what they feel is the right price anyways, and if it's too low on my end, they got a deal on their end. So I don't do best offer on the cards I do. Some higher end ones I'm playing the market with, I might, stuff like that, but I don't do best offer. I'm not going to argue about 25, 50 cents, $1 on a postcard. I'm not going to sit there and haggle. There's no time, there's no money left. $75 card, someone offered me 60, yeah, I might do something like that. I'm not stupid. But I don't want to go back and forth on my phone all day. I want to put my best price out there, buy it, or go buy it from somebody else on there. Another thing is, with your store, sometimes you have some lost leaders. I might have a $8 card I put up for $4.75, and that person got it for a deal. If you're going out shopping at thrift stores, and you're reselling, and you got 3 thrift stores to go to, out of those 3 thrift stores that you go to, you usually find really good deals in number 2. Where are you going to return and look around? Number 2 is your first place you go. So that's another lost leader marketing thing, is sometimes let people find a deal, get $1 off on that $6 card. Well, I went to SMPostcard, they had some pretty good deals. The word gets out and moves on in reputation, but it takes time. Don't give the place away. Don't do that on every card. But some cards, you got a Disney card up there. It's a $10 card and you put it up for $6. And people go find it, and they're going to come back. Not everyone, but I think it helps a little bit once in a while. Instead of paying, promoting, and all that other stuff, do stuff like that. But that's pricing, and I talked about comparative pricing in one of the other videos. But don't feel bad if you sold a card and someone sold it for 30 and you sold it for 15. It's just how everybody works. As long as you get the margin you want. I always talk about a 40% margin. So everything I sell, I look for 40% at the bottom line. I get a lot more than that, I can tell you, with postcards, because I sell some pretty good ones, I sell some average, but I don't pay a lot for them. So I might be up in the 50, 60 sometimes. It just depends. Some months I'm down a little bit more. But 40% gives me 40 cents on every dollar I spend. And that's a target that most retailers, to get over 60%, unless you're buying something for $2 and you're selling for $200, stuff like that. But a consistent average thing across the thing, I look for 40%. It gives me some wiggle room. This year I'm higher than that, and it puts a little bit more money in the pocket, but you're talking nickel and dimes here on every card, so it takes a lot on there. So just do the best you can, but the number one thing is you have to move your inventory to get cash flow coming in. You got to have more coming in than going out. So watch how you buy them, and then and the pricing you put on them. And I wouldn't try to cut the price, put the price of the postcard $2.50, and $4 shipping. People are on to that. They know what that is. That's $6 for a $3 postcard, $4 postcard. So they understand all that stuff. You're savvy buyers. That's the poll. Let me prefix this. People haven't watched this video. In one of the other videos, I did what would you do segment in it. I found this listing, and I'll show you some pictures here, of a huge 100,000 postcards somebody had, and it was stacked up, and it was from a Plastichrome dealer. Plastichrome is a publisher of postcards back in the day, and they went out of business, and they had all this new old stock, and they were selling it. The list price that this person wanted in the beginning was $22,000. They ended up selling it to someone for $7,000, and I found it on Terapeak. I did not know it was Trevor, and I didn't want to dish Trevor, and I don't think he took it that way, or anybody took it that way. It's just a scenario. What would you do? I passed. In that video, I tell you why I passed, and I don't blame put any harm to the seller not knowing postcards. It sounds like they got them and they don't do postcards all the time, so some of the terminology is different, and who bought it sees some value in it. So it's each other's eyes. But Trevor was humble enough to send me an email about this, and he said I could share this with everyone. So I pieced apart. Trevor, thanks a lot again, and I hope you do well with this. I really do. I hope you get your money back and more. And it sounds like you got a plan to do that, and we're going to walk through this here. But I kind of broke apart his email here so we can see what he said and see what, if you watch that video and come back to this, you'll see what I saw and then what Trevor says. So he sent me a message about the 100,000 card listing that you found. That was the original card lot that I purchased and was previously talking about that I made. I did find the email, Trevor. I get so many emails. I had to go look at it. And you did say you bought a lot of cards. I go, that's a lot of postcards. I said that, or something like that in the email. I didn't know it was this one. And then as you saw from Terapeak, I did purchase it for $7,000. So I did go out to Terapeak and I found it $7,000. I didn't know, really look who the seller was. Why did I do this, he said. Well, to be honest, I saw the deal and I originally made an offer of $5,000 instead of $22,000. He offered $5,000. That's interesting. How did you come up with $5,000? You know, thinking it wouldn't go anywhere. So that's what he threw something. Let's see what sticks. I do that a lot. Let's see what sticks, and I commend him for that. However, they were highly willing to negotiate, and after a bit of back and forth, we settled at $7,000. I think he did it very well on from their asking price and getting them down. They wanted to move these things, and throwing that up there and sticking it is a good method to do that. And then he said the shipment came on a pallet, and I show a picture here on a pallet. I tore it apart in my driveway and stored it in my spare bedroom. I'm still going through the boxes, but yeah, there were a lot of repeats. I thought they were boxes of repeats. After I've gone through all the boxes, I will probably make common lots like Adirondack lots, and will not to try and help sell through a lot of the similar cards. That's what I was thinking too. You do some lots. I would look at scrappers, scrapbook people, and stuff like that. Put them up there, postcard lot for scrappers, Adirondacks, and see if you can get your. I think with all these cards, you could probably get your money back for that on there. So he's got a plan. He did get some duplicates, but he's got a plan. Then, however, there are also a lot of large, giant postcards. I talked about that in that video. They had a lot of jumbo, large, giant. I'm talking approximately 12 by 12 inch. That's a record album, isn't it? 12 by 12? Is that a record? I think that's a record album size postcards. I haven't seen a 12 by 12 postcard that I can remember. I've had great luck with bookmark postcards and these kind of large postcards, so I think that these will work out well. Also, there are boxes with lots of variety of postcards included, so it's not all repeats, but it's mostly repeats. Yeah, so there's a lot of repeats, but he's got a lot of stuff that's got some variety. So maybe that's where he can get most of his money back. So the first thing he has to do, he has to get his $7,000 back, and then his time on there and stuff like that. So it's going to take time. This is not an overnight deal, and I think he understands this very well. So he's got a plan. As for the water damage, because I talked about that, because I saw some box on there, There was some damage, but not a ton. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. Most of the damage was done to the boxes themselves. I'd say so far about 10% of the cards I have, I'm having to throw out. So I said about 20, and he's at 10%. So it's better than I thought. And I like this. We get to see from the beginning to the end. You know, how did this come out? And then somebody got it. This is great, Trevor. So we can kind of see what to look for in the future and learn what to look for. But the seller included way more than 100,000 cards. That brings the cost per card down. I previously approximated 120,000, which seems to be the closer number. So he got more cards. He's selling some out, but not as much as he thought. I thought. So his price per card goes down. And that's what you want to do, is get that price per card. He's going to throw some lots up, probably put them for scrappers or other people and stuff like that. But he's got a lot of variety too. But it's going to take a lot of time and work. But it sounds like he's got a plan. If you look at how this all came boxed, it not bad. I would still pass on there, but everybody has their different ways of looking at it. This is a lot of work, but I think it's doable to get the 7,000 back, and then any money after that is just extra pretty much on there. But this kind of shows us how people think when they buy things. To throw $5,000 out there on a $22,000 bid, he didn't think it went anywhere, and he ends up with a driveway full of postcards. That's how it can happen. Only thing I'm missing here, Trevor, and I'm going to email you back, how did those albums come out? If I remember right, there was a bunch of postcard albums in the lot. How's that on there? So, and keep us updated on how you're doing in there. Or if you got any lots and stuff like that, let me know, and I can help you out. I can put it out there on the community tab, whatever. Hey, if you want a bunch of cards or whatever, you know, make lots of one of each one or something like that. Stuff, you know, stuff like that. But anybody's got any ideas for Trevor to help him out? I wouldn't critique him a lot. I mean, everybody buys things. I think this is the fun stuff of buying and taking a gamble, because you got to make it work to get your money back. But now you got to figure out how you're going to do it. You got all these postcards. Now let's see what I can do with it. That's what I enjoy doing. So my target right now would be get my 7,000 back and not take up my whole life trying to sell these. What's the easiest way, the best way, fair deal, and just keep working on it. I think Trevor's got the right mindset to do this. So that's all that's on the viewer comments today. Anybody got anything about Cowboy Postcards? If you got some really neat ones you've sold, send it in for show and tell. I did a big video, a bunch. My folder's a little empty for show and tell. But if anybody's got any what would you do type scenarios out there, point me to a listing and I'll put it together, because I learned so much when I, like, just reading Trevor's email has verified to me or shown me different things. I keep thinking, what would I do if I had a driveway full of postcards? What would you do if you got a pallet of postcards? You know, that makes you think down there. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Here's some of that fish you can watch. Bye.